I think that the black community is going through some things right now, and black history, hip hop. I think there's a lot going on right now. Just the history of hip hop, and we've elevated. We've come to this great place where black people are doing very good for themselves. You know what I'm saying? We own TV shows. You know what I'm saying? We're owners of a lot of films and stuff, like businesses and films and stuff. And why do we get to this point and then we start fighting among each other? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand everybody's gonna have their differences, you know what I'm saying? We're not gonna always agree. And that's cool, because I have friends that I don't always agree with. So that's a normal thing. It comes to a point where, you know what I'm saying, you have to be wise and be willing to say, you know what, it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just look at all the stuff that's going on in the black community right now, especially in hip hop music. Like, it's very out of control and crazy right now. But the crazy thing is, T.I., for example, I was gonna say another name, but T.I., I really have to applaud T.I. on his growth and where he has come from. Of course, I don't know the man personally, but the man is a person I look up to. You know what I'm saying? I may not agree with everything that T.I. does. T.I. ain't gonna agree with everything that other people do. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the point. T.I. is for somebody to be somebody that, had his history in the streets. He has children now. You feel what I'm saying? And he's at a place in his life now where he's a businessman. You feel what I'm saying? And so you look at him and Lecrae share a table and have a conversation, and that's what Lecrae is about. Like, you look at Nipsey Hustle, for example, man, like, it really hurts because you look at somebody like Lecrae, you look at somebody like Nipsey Hustle, they kind of both had the same kind of agenda or motive, building the community. You feel what I'm saying? And I think, like, people like T.I., and other artists, even Trey the Truth, like, you look at the stuff that Trey the Truth is doing in Houston, Texas. And I'm talking about even before now. I'm talking about, just look at the history of the things that Trey the Truth does. You know what I'm saying? A lot of, I don't understand how we come to this point in history and then we are too immature, you know what I'm saying, too naive to be okay with seeing the next man shine. Like, why do we, some of us, I guess, because we was raised up in the streets, we wasn't taught how to get it out the mud. We wasn't taught how to do it ourselves. You feel what I'm saying? So the only thing we know how to do is when we see the next man doing good, we know how to take it from him. And I feel like that's a horrible thing because it don't pay off in the long run. You know what I'm saying? You can take what belongs to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? They file insurance and get it back, but you got a strike on your record. You see what I'm saying? And then this thing with, the black community is really against the police, F the police. And I understand it because in my years I've had my affiliation with a little bit of the streets, and I was a teenager at that time. So I really didn't understand what I was getting myself into, but you have a little taste of kind of where that's headed. And it was too serious for me. It was too real for me. And that's when you got to take a step and realize, like, are you really going to be about this life? You know what I'm saying? Are you willing to, I got family. That's why I say, you look at somebody like T.I., he's a businessman. He don't have to prove nothing to nobody. And that's the thing. When I was young, when we were in our younger days, we wanted to prove that we was the biggest, baddest, that we, you know what I'm saying, that we didn't fear nobody. If you already know that, you don't have to prove that to nobody. Because the thing is, if you prove it to one man, you're going to have to prove it to another man. Then you're going to have to prove it to another man. It's always going to be somebody messing with you. I'm not saying, be a coward. That's not what I'm saying. And this thing with Christianity, you know what I'm saying? There was a one on one of T.I.'s podcasts. You had Charlemagne the God and Charlemagne the God, and Charlemagne quoted a scripture out of the Bible, and I was like, this man is smart, but for him to know that scripture out of the Bible, he told T.I. Him and T.I. got to talking. And I hate that he brought this up to T.I. because I feel like, T.I. is one of them people that T.I. done been to jail, prison before, I'm pretty sure. But in prison, Christianity is something that's really hard to understand. Turn the cheek and all this crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's hard to, how do you do that in prison? And prison is that you can't turn the cheek, man, in prison. You can't do that. So, you can, but you can't. That's a whole nother story. What I'm saying is, T.I. has learned how to stand on his own 2 feet. You feel what I'm saying? He knows things about the streets that somebody like me might never know. It's really bad, how the government, well, I shouldn't say the government, white settlers or whatever you want to call it, how they did blacks. And it's not really just blacks. If you really take a step back and look, it was almost anybody of color. And it took me a while to realize that when I heard Asians calling themselves people of color and Hispanics calling themselves people of color and anybody that wasn't white. So if you look back, I didn't even know, man, but I was coming through, where was I coming through? I don't know if I was in Illinois, Indiana, somewhere, and I was coming along this route and they had history blocks at some of the rest areas, where you stop and use the restroom. And I read about the Indians and how they call it the Trail of Tears or something like that. And that's not the only story. I'm just using this one story as an example because black people, sometimes as the black community, we feel like it's only us. It's only us. And it is us, especially when it's happening to us right now. So I get that. But it's also a lot of other people. That's where coming together and building plays a big part in a whole lot of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I heard a lot of people talking about Trump lately. And I'm not going to say I'm against Trump, but I didn't vote for him. And a lot of the people that vote for Trump are typically, not all of them, but some of the ones that I run into are very nasty and mean people. And all they have on their agenda is themselves. You see what I'm saying? It shouldn't be about, the Bible teaches us that it's not about ourselves, it's about doing for others. And if we're gonna be in America that stands on justice, you feel what I'm saying, then something has to change. So they had a big problem with Obama being in office, had a big problem with Biden being in office. And that's just because of color. Why wouldn't you want the people of color to be where you are? See, that's a problem. I think people are afraid that if we get to the level that they're at, we can make a change. But they're scared that not only will we make a change, but we'll take over. I don't think that that's the motive. We just want equality, we want justice. But because people before us have always had the upper hand and always cheated us, like 50 Cent said. He said that, you know, in the streets, somebody can, you know, rob somebody, or somebody can cheat somebody or do somebody wrong, but you see it. You see who did it, you recognize it. In the business world, it's people in suits that will cheat you like on a contract. They will actually legally, I don't want to say legally, but they will rob you and make you sign on a dotted line. So now they legally robbed you. They just robbed you right in front of your face. They didn't punch you, they didn't pull a gun on you, they didn't do any of that. What I was saying about, you know, F the police, how I understand kind of both sides of it. And I want to say this. If, let's say you're a person of the streets and you got a best friend or relative, whatever, and, well, it could be your mama, whatever, somebody that you care about, you feel what I'm saying? And let's say something happens to them, right? And you don't know who did it, but you got the license plate, or you know the description of the car, whatever it is, but you don't know who did it. And the police are on the scene and they're asking, you know, do y'all have any information? But because you were so loyal and dedicated to the streets, you won't speak up for whoever it was that got shot or killed or whatever it was. Let's say it could be your mama or your sister or your daughter or you know what I'm saying? Like your cousin, somebody in your family, or the old lady, the old grandma next door, the old innocent grandma next door. You feel what I'm saying? I feel like you have to, I don't think God is pleased with that, man. And I understand that, you know, being loyal to the street code is a thing. I get it, and I understand it because I don't want to say the police, but I guess white settlers is the word, have mistreated Indians and black people and so many different groups because they could legally, they could write something on paper, and as long as they had it on paper, it overrode what really happened. That's why if you look, the way that blacks teach their kids history and the way that schools teach us history is two different things, because they're going by what somebody wrote in a book. We're going by what really happened. You look it back in Oklahoma, when I seen a white man come forward and he said, why was this story never told? He talked about how, I can't remember what it was called, because it was my first time hearing about it, but he talked about how Oklahoma had a whole lot of black businesses and they were torn down by whites. And a lot of stuff like this has been happening around the world, but it gets swept under the rug. It doesn't get documented, and it's not something that is taught in school. Until maybe now, some of this stuff is kind of really getting attention, you know, but it really hurts me that we've come to a point in time where that stuff just kind of gets swept up under the rug. Well, it's been happening, but, you know, it doesn't, people just don't care about other people. Charleston White, he talked about, he's been going on a rampage. I don't know if that's the right word for it. I shouldn't have said that, I guess. But he's been really on this thing, but I think that's kind of always been his thing. He's been one of those people. But I feel like it got to a point, according to, you know what I'm saying, what he said was, I ain't gonna say what he said, but according to what he said, ever since Nipsey Hustle got killed, Charleston White has been on this kind of extreme level, and can't nobody shut him up. He's gonna talk, he's gonna speak, and I really understand a portion of it. I don't know everything. Some of the stuff is weird, but if you think about it, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in hip hop that is always a mystery because nobody wants to talk about it. Because if you talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Like, people will look at you as the bad guy. When Nipsey Hustle got killed, I think Charleston White just really kind of made his mind up not to shut up no more. Like I say, I think he's always been that type of person to not shut up, but I think that really just topped it off. That just really just blew the fuse. And, you know, you got to look at somebody like T.I., for example. If T.I. knew the truth, you know what I'm saying, would he shut up? If you go and look at T.I.'s background, history, and I'm not talking about a snitch or nothing like that. What I'm saying is, you know, T.I. had his doing of things, you know what I'm saying, back in a period of time when people kept underestimating him. People kept wanting him to shut up and talk to him like he was, you know, a female dog. And because he was a grown man and because he knew what he stood on, he didn't let nobody shut him up. I can remember in junior high, one of my cousins saying, T.I. ain't gonna pull no kick though. And the next couple of days, T.I. had pulled a kick though. You know what I'm saying? And from that point on, as far as I was young, but as far as I can remember, T.I. was just blowing up in the media for things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't playing. And I remember when I first seen T.I., Rubber Band Man. I ain't gonna lie, I really didn't. It was something about him that I kind of, when I first seen him, he was too cocky. But not like, I don't want to say cocky like in a bad way. It was just something that I wasn't familiar with, something I wasn't immune to. But then when you research and learn about T.I.'s history, it's almost like he had every right to be who he was, to be as cocky as he was. It's kind of how I feel sometimes when you work so hard to get to a certain point and then people try to tear you down, or, you know what I'm saying, like try to act like you ain't supposed to be where you are because they didn't see all of the, what they think is overnight success took you 10, 15, 20 years to build, you know? So when you finally get to that point, there is going to be some cockiness. There is going to be some, I did this. There is going to be that. You know what I'm saying? Because you had everybody trying to stop you. Even sometimes a lot of times the people in your circle or the people that around you or the people that know of you or know you was trying to stop you too. You know what I'm saying? So, or you know, was wanting handouts. So I can understand, like I say, when I first seen T.I., there was some cockiness there. I don't know, he was really, I wasn't familiar with it. But once I learned T.I., he became one of my favorite artists. Nelly has been one of my favorite artists because Nelly is He seemed like a cool dude. You know what I'm saying? But, you know. But even C-Note of the Botany Boys, you know what I'm saying, out of Houston, Texas, like, I like a lot of things about C-Note, just the way he carry himself. And you look at C-Note now, the dude has matured. He's still, you can't take the street out of somebody, but this man has matured. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could name a whole lot of people out of Houston, of course, because I'm from Texas, but, you know, the black community, man, has come so far. You go back and look back in T.I.'s day, Tupac's day, when him and Snoop, according to the sources, wasn't really making that much money. I didn't even know. I seen somewhere Mary J. Blige was signed to Death Row at one point in time. I didn't know that. But you go back and look, back in the early 90s, late 80s, when hip-hop wasn't really making a lot of money, as far as I know. Now, if you were signed to a big deal or a big record label, you might have been making some money, but it wasn't nothing like compared to today. I think it was more of popularity, being on a big screen. So you got fame, which probably brought you brand deals and stuff like that. And that's probably where the money came from. I don't know. I'm just saying. Now artists are making so much more money compared to what they was making back then. And I feel like, you know, we've come this far. And I mean, it don't even make sense, all of the drama and stuff that's going on. And I know a lot of it has to do with, sometimes a lot of the drama goes on because it makes headlines. Anytime your name is in the headlines, guess what? People are searching for your name. So I think a portion of it is that, but I think a portion of it is really drama. Cause look at all the artists talented artists, man. It might start out as, oh, we just want to make the headlines, and then somebody end up saying something, getting their feelings hurt, and end up saying something. Okay, now we really going at it, and it hurts me, man. It's too many talented artists. Nipsey Hustle, Mo3, you know what I'm saying? A lot of Tupac. The list goes on. Like, it's too many artists, you know what I'm saying, that are going before their time, man. And them people were chosen, I feel. You know, and it just took some evil person, you know what I'm saying, to try to stop what God was doing. It's sad, man. You know, you look at gangs and look at the history of gangs like Crips, for example. And the Crip gang, from what I understand, I'm actually in California right now, which is funny. I'm in Ontario. But the Crip gang was actually more like a group that was there to stop like stuff like the police brutality, and you know what I'm saying, where you had the I don't want to say white people, but you had certain people coming in trying to, you know, come on, man, look up the history of how the Crips really got started, and it was more like to protect the community. And if you look at Nipsey Hussle, man, that's what he was trying to do. And they try to say that he was snitching. Y'all know good and well Nipsey Hussle wasn't that type of person. And that's why I say Charleston White when Charleston White said, look what they did to Nipsey Hustle. If they did that to Nipsey Hustle, they'll do it to me. And I think that just really just blew his mind. That just, he went into panic. And now you can't shut him up. You know, he told him, or I don't know, he said what he said about what they did to Nipsey, but I feel like it was only, like, if Nipsey Hussle was your friend, your brother, your homeboy, and somebody in the clique killed him, like, whether it be Nipsey Hussle or anybody, let's say Tupac, anybody, that goes against street code. You broke the street code. You broke the family code. So I no longer can rock with you. You feel what I'm saying? If somebody in my family did something to somebody else in my family, you know what I'm saying? Like, think I'm going to just let that slide? Think I'm going to just sit back and be quiet about it? I'm not saying for anybody to snitch. Y'all get so tied up on that. That's not what I'm saying. But I guarantee if it was your mama and you seen the car go, but you don't know who it was, and the police could find out who that is, you wouldn't do that for your mama? Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. That ain't even what I'm here for. What I'm here for is because I think sometimes you got to have division. Sometimes you got to say, you know what, we can agree to disagree. And just go on about your way. There's other times when, you know, we need to try to build together. You know, Master P, I feel like Master P is one of those that has always been about it. I'm pretty sure him and his people don't always get along. But it's a new day. Every day, God gets a new day to wake up and say, you know what, yesterday was yesterday. Let's start brand new on the day. You know what I'm saying? And some people just can't do that, man. And I really feel like, I think we have left God out of the equation. A lot of us don't believe in God, and that's why I'm not charismatic. I'm not affiliated with the Word of Faith teaching. I'm not affiliated with the faith teachers. I'm not affiliated with the prosperity teachers. I don't. Just because I'm a Christian, see, that's the thing. When Christians go to jail, they have a jacked up understanding of what a Christian is. Y'all just don't know. I debate with Christians all the time. Because what I believe and what I read out of my Bible and what I get from my Bible, they interpret a whole different way. Them and they pastor interpret it a whole different way. So that's what I'm telling y'all. Don't throw everybody in a box just because they are Christian. Don't stereotype. Whether it be black, whether it be Christian, whatever it is. I know some Muslims that I get along with better than some of the Christians I know. So we can't get tied up on titles. Sometimes it'll be the closest person to you that does you wrong.